I'm Elizabeth Blackburn. I'm a professor at the University of California, San Francisco. I'm actually the Morris Herstein Professor of Physiology and Biology in the Department of Biophysics and Biochemistry. How about that? Or maybe it's Biochemistry and Biophysics. Anyway, I grew up in Tasmania and I had a lot of opportunity to be outdoors and I loved animals, and my mom told me that I would play with poisonous jellyfish, and in Australia there are ants that sting you really badly, and I would pick them up and cradle them in my hand and talk to them. So I just thought all living things were wonderful. When we think of life, we tend to think of what's a little bit more identifiably like us. We think of us, of course, we think of, mammals, pets, and, furry things, and then we, think about fish, and we think about plants and things. And yet there's an enormous universe of life which we don't happen to see with the naked eye, but microscopes make, abundantly clear. So I happen to be working with a very tiny single-celled organism, and it actually lives in pond scum. And it's called tetrahymena, very charming. And it swims around in little corkscrew kind of tracks, and has 7 sexes, by the way. Exciting little life under the pond, surface. So the point is, though, it has a lot of very tiny chromosomes. And I decided to look at what's at the ends of chromosomes because nobody knew what actually was there. So what's at the very end of the chromosome is given the name the telomere, and just means telo means end, from the Greek, and mere, body. And we discovered an enzyme that was completely new at the time that adds extra DNA. It elongates those ends. So that solves a problem. How do chromosomes replicate and yet not lose DNA from their ends? Well, if you have something that just keeps adding back some extra. So that was really, huge fun to find this. And we found this in tetrahymena. Some people like to, explore outer space and, that's an unknown world. And yet there are these little tiny unknown worlds, which was this very simple, what's at the ends of chromosomes?
The beautiful baobab tree, or tree of life, is an African icon. The baobab fruit contains 4 times the potassium of banana, 3 times the vitamin C of an orange, and twice the calcium of spinach. But the baobab is an orphan. Science has paid little attention to this tree, until now. The African Orphan Crops Consortium is harnessing the power of genetics for orphan crops. The baobab tree is the first of 101 plants to have its genome sequenced, assembled, and annotated, and the information will be made available to all, unrestricted. Where millions of people are malnourished, this genetic data will help farmers provide the food they need. The genomes will guide African plant breeders so they can create crops that are higher yielding, water and nutrient use efficient, resilient to climate change, and full of nutrition, triggering a huge leap forward for the diversity and sustainability of the continent's agriculture.